We're just getting started with our football chatter, which means Chris Simpson is standing by. He joins us every Thursday in his second season. It's Chris Simpson and Simpson's Football Chatter. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. How you doing? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you, my friend. Let's take a look back at what happened this past weekend, and you called it. The game to look at in college football happened in Athens, Georgia. What a shootout between Ole Miss and Georgia last weekend.
Yeah, it really was. This was my first time getting the chance to really sit down and watch Ole Miss play. One, Lane Kiffin, he has a hell of a thing brewing up down there in
Mhm.
Oxford. I got to give him that much. Two, it was my first time getting the chance to see Trinidad Chambliss play. Excuse me, a dual threat quarterback. He can hurt you with his legs. He can make throws on a run. And your goal as a defense, when you know a guy is mobile and he can quarterback like that, keep him in the pocket. He's not beating me. Don't chase him. Keep a spy on him. And I'm containing him. We contain. We don't chase. And I just kind of wanted to see how Georgia came out. And now you're kind of seeing why I haven't really been too gung ho on the Georgia Bulldogs because they kind of have that same syndrome that the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs have. They feel they can snap their finger and they feel they can just turn it on whenever they want to. And you would think Georgia would learn their lesson because this happened against Tennessee and then it caught up to them against Alabama a couple weeks ago under the lights. And Ole Miss, they did the same thing Tennessee did. They had the door slightly closed. They didn't close it completely, and Georgia was able to crack through. But I got to give Georgia a lot of credit because this defense clamped down, Brian, and they held Ole Miss to a single yard in the fourth quarter.
1 yard after tearing up and slicing through Georgia for 3 quarters. The Dogs turned it on defensively as one of my heroes, Jim Durham, used to say a lot. They turned the screws defensively, escaped with an 8-point win, 43-35. What does this say for Georgia going forward?
They have to tighten some things up because this starting slow and then finding your way back into the game, it's not going to always work out for you. Remember, the week before against Auburn, they were down 10, and then they scored 20 unanswered. I can't see them doing this against a team like an Ohio State or, even even in Indiana or even a team that's in the same conference as them that
Right.
just so happens to have their number in Alabama. But yeah, luckily they're on the bye week. They play Florida, which could be a little bit of a trap game next week. They play the Florida Gators. Florida just got rid of Billy Napier. They fired him, which I think was way overdue, and it was time to do it. And yeah, they have to tighten up some things. They got to get back to ground and pound, running the football. And Georgia has what I call selective pop on the offensive side of the ball. Either, they're going to take a shot down the field and hit it, or they're not. There's no in between with them.
Right. And that's frightening. If you are a playoff team like Georgia thinks they can be, they can't have a selective pop. They have to establish their identity first and foremost, because as you said, Chris, it caught up to them against Tennessee. It nearly knocked them down. Let me try that again. It caught up to them against Alabama between the hedges.
It did.
Tennessee nearly knocked them down, up 21-0, and Tennessee didn't slam the door. Ole Miss 35-24 ahead, didn't slam the door.
Right.
Alabama did slam the door.
Bingo.
And that's where we're going to, speaking of Alabama, roll tide, man. Roll tide against Tennessee. Tennessee, again, did not close the door when they had a chance to close the door on the road at Bryant-Denny Stadium Saturday night.
No, they really didn't. And look, I love what I'm seeing from the Alabama Crimson Tide right now. They have a healthy Jam Miller. And what I said it to you off the mic, and I'll say it here again. What James Cook is to the Buffalo Bills is what Jam Miller is to the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're winning the trenches on both sides of the football. They're getting really good play from Ty Simpson. Like, I think he's playing some of the best football in America right now. But most importantly, Kalen DeBoer has found his footing, not only in Tuscaloosa, but in the SEC, because the SEC as a conference is cutthroat, B. And he just looks comfortable. And most importantly, he can be the guy that's just Alabama's head coach, not the guy replacing Nick Saban.
Hmm. And he is really establishing himself. Yesterday or last year, I beg your pardon, was an off year for him, if you want to call 8 wins an off year. But given the lofty goals of Alabama each and every year, it was an off year. But now Kalen DeBoer is sitting at the table in the SEC.
I agree. And if I had to give a vote right now, he'd be my vote for AP Coach of the Year. I love what he's doing. These players have really bought into them. And look, it's nothing against Nick Saban. Nick is the greatest to do it, but Nick's a little older. I think these younger players now, they can buy in to a younger head coach.
Speaking of buying in, let's go to the Big Ten. And my vote for Coach of the Year is in Bloomington, Indiana. His name is Kurt Signetti. What a job he has done in the past 2 seasons with the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, he's been absolutely phenomenal. He has this team believing. He has this team playing with confidence, and he won it last year. I can't disagree with you about that. And I love what Indiana did. James Franklin gets fired. Billy Napier gets fired. Some other coaches get fired around the nation. And Indiana locks this guy up because they know he's going to be a hot commodity come the off season or around bowl season when a lot of coaches switch and up
Hmm.
for another team or even the NFL if the opportunity presents itself. But Indiana, I think the only thing that's stopping them is themselves. It's an injury or them not playing up to their capabilities because they don't play Michigan and they don't play Ohio State. I think the only time they'd see one of those two teams potentially is in the Big Ten
The
championship,
championship. And that's in Indianapolis. And
which
Indiana
is a
has
home game
never.
for them.
It is. It is. And I can tell you, 3 quarters of the state will trek to Indianapolis, especially the kids down in Bloomington would trek to Indianapolis in a heartbeat. And it would be 3 quarters, it'll be 3 quarters of the way crimson and white for Indiana.
Yeah.
The only team that stands in their way is the number one team in the nation and the defending champions in Ohio State. That's a clash waiting to happen the first Saturday in December.
Yeah, and I love what I'm seeing from Ohio State right now. They've opened up the playbook for Julian saying, like, they're running the ball, but they're allowing him to spread his wings. This is how you allow your quarterback to grow. But Brian, did you see that pass that he made to Carnell Tate? And did you see how Carnell just went up
Beautiful.
and got it?
Beautiful. I mean, Carnell Tate and Julian saying they are becoming a tandem in the Big Ten.
They really are. And just think of all the attention that Jeremiah Smith grabs. And, you know, you can't double everybody.
Mm-mm.
Someone's going to have one-on-one leeway on the other side. And that's been Carnell Tate. He's gotten his. But you know what really grabs my attention about this Ohio State team? The defense.
Defense.
This is the best defense in the country. They play so well collectively as a unit. They swarm to the football. They tackle. They don't miss gap assignments. They communicate across the board. Caleb Downs, he can play in the box. He can play
Mm-hmm.
outside the hedges. He can cover. He can make tackles, and they make you think you have a chance, and then they impose their will on you.
Absolutely, they do. Hello, Illinois.
Yeah,
Illinois hung with them until the tail end of the first half, and then Ohio State turned on the Jets and ran away
took
and
over.
won and turned the game and turned the game upside down.
Yeah,
Speaking
yeah,
of turning something upside down, how about those Indianapolis Colts? 6-1
yeah.
heading into this week. The renaissance of Daniel Jones, but I know you very, very well. You know me very, very well. Yes, the offense goes through Daniel Jones, but to me, the offense goes through Jonathan Taylor.
Oh man, and Brian, you shouldn't have said his name because you know my rule. You better have game. If you
If
got
you have two
first
first
name,
names,
it's only right, baby. And yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor. I think he's up there with Baker Mayfield as far as the MVP radar is concerned. Like, where would the Colts be without JT? And no, I did not mean to rhyme there.
no, and you're right, and you're right. Man, look, he already has a 200-yard rushing game. He had a 200-yard scrimmage game this past Sunday in Los Angeles against the Chargers.
Mhm.
But this Colts defense locked those Chargers up.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say this. I'm still a little concerned about their offense because they struggle to stop the run.
Hmm.
And the Colts defense, they thrive off that takeaway and those
Yep.
turnovers. And
Yep.
if they're not getting those turnovers, then they really don't have much going for them. Like the talent is there. They have Kawhi Pay. DeForest Buckner, I know he's a little older and a little past his prime, but he can still get the job done. Now they have playmakers on the defensive side, but I think in a couple of weeks we're about to see who the Colts really are because they have to go to Pittsburgh for a
Hmm.
game, and then they have to go to Kansas City. So
Yes.
these two games are going to tell us a little bit more about who the Indianapolis Colts really are.
I believe they are. I believe they are also. Pittsburgh and Kansas City on the radar. Tennessee this week at 4:25 on Sunday. That's a call yours truly will have. Speaking of a throwback Renaissance game, you know my next two words: Christian McCaffrey. What a job he did on Sunday night.
Yeah, what a job he did. He really put a lot of pressure and a lot of yeah, I think pressure is the right word on this Atlanta defense because you don't know how he's going to attack you. We know he can take the handoffs, but I just think he's just as solid of a receiver as he is a running back. And B. John Robinson, and he's another one that's been great this year. He's cut from that Christian McCaffrey cloth, but the both of them are cut from the LaDainian Tomlinson cloth because they both can
Absolutely.
impact the games in several ways. But nah, the 49ers, they just continue to keep their foot on the gas despite the injuries. And I think this injury to Brock Purdy is a lot more worse than I think he's letting on because one
Yeah.
minute it seems like he's close to coming back and then he's out. They go as far as Christian McCaffrey and Mac Jones take them, I think, at this point. Like the defense is completely injured and decimated across the board. And you know how I feel about Fred Warner. I think he's
Mhm.
absolutely phenomenal. I think he's the best linebacker in football. And I wouldn't disagree with you if you said he was their best player. I
Yeah, he
really
is.
would. I mean, he's everything to that defense. Reminds me a little bit of Brian Urlacher. Just the ability
Mhm.
to cover back, and he was a former safety, just like Brian was before converting to a linebacker. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey, he did everything he had to do. And for the 49ers to win, he has to be that guy.
You know, a lot of people wrote the 49ers off with all the injuries they had coming into the season. Now they're sitting at 5-2, tied up top the NFC West. But in essence, San Francisco has a 3-game lead because they're 3-0 in the division. The playmaker was here with us earlier this week, and he keeps asking, how long can it last? It can last as long as they want it to last. This is a good 49er team.
Yeah, it really is. And I really tip my cap to them after they went in to SoFi, where
Yes.
everybody, myself included, wrote them off. And
Yep.
what did they do? They go in and they punch the Rams in the mouth.
Oh, man. I mean, the first drive of the game in that game, looking back 3 weeks ago, the first drive of the game should have told everybody that wrote the 49ers off that the Niners are not going down without a fight. They walked right down the field in 11 plays. And this is how the 49ers control the football because in the last 2 weeks, they've had 7 drives of 10 plus plays, including 3 on Sunday night against Atlanta. And
Yeah,
San Francisco's another team that loved to take the ball away. Thank you, Bryce Up, for that strip sack
yeah,
for their takeaway, which turned a 7-3 lead into a 10-3 lead. Eventually became 13-3, then 13-10, and then that last touchdown by McCaffrey sealed the deal.
mhm.
There's a game that you wanted to look at, and it's one that I'm looking forward to seeing. It's at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. It closes the week. The Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Who are the Washington Commanders, Brian? Like we talk about this. Like Brian Snow, who
Yeah.
are the
Who-
Washington Commanders? Like this was
Exactly.
that was a game away from the Super Bowl a year ago.
Hmm.
Jaden Daniels came onto the scene, really introduced himself to the NFL world. But this year it's been a little different. The injury bug has really hurt this team. There was no
Hmm.
Debo Samuel against Dallas. There was no Terry McLaurin. And Terry McLaurin is the guy that stirs the drink for the Washington
Absolutely.
Commanders. Jaden gets hurt. He's actually not going to play in this game on Monday night. So Marcus
Yeah.
Mariota is in. And as far as Kansas City, you know, I'm still trying to figure out who they are because they had a scrimmage against the Raiders on
Mhm.
Sunday.
They did. That's about what you can call it.
Yeah,
That's about
yeah.
what you can call it.
Like Brian, let me look. I contribute for a show on Monday nights and Tuesday nights called The Prime,
Yep.
and I was telling David on point. That's the host of the show. What's up, David? I was
Mhm.
telling David, like how disrespectful is it that you're in victory formation with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game?
I've actually seen that happen quite a few times when I was covering high school football up in Chicago,
Mhm.
where a team was in victory formation with 2.5 minutes left. I've seen it happen,
I have
and
too. I have
it
too. I mean, thankfully, when I played, I never had to deal with that because if I dealt with that, you would have to see me after the game.
exactamunt.
Look,
You'd have to see me
nah,
after the
you would
game
have to see
also.
me after the game. But no, Kansas City, they have their whole band back together. Rasheed Rice, he makes such a difference for
Mhm.
the Chiefs passing attack. He's a physical receiver. He's a red zone threat. This is where I think the Chiefs offense is really going to come alive. Now, because when you play Kansas City, who's the first guy that you're looking to take away in the receiving game?
In the receiving
It
game, you're
ain't
taking Rice away.
Yeah, or you take Kelsey away. You double
You take
him because
Kelsey away.
Mahomes is gonna look at him first. That's his first read. And what
Mhm.
did I just say? You can't double everyone. You have
No.
him, you have Hollywood Brown, you have Xavier Worthy, you have Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. This is a serviceable Kansas City offense. Defensively, Steve Spagnuolo, I think he's still the best defensive mind in the game. He's
Mhm.
gonna throw a lot of different blitzes and schemes and coverages at you.
That he
He's
is.
guys things. And yeah, I just think the Chiefs are going to be a little too much for the Washington Commanders here. I previewed this one on the site yesterday.
Yes, and a great preview
Thank you.
as always. Great preview as always. We're up against the break, but that's Simpson's football chatter preview game of the game of the week that he's previewing, the Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Man, always a pleasure, my brother. Love having you. Love the football chatter. We'll do it again in 7 days.
Absolutely. See you again. Have a great rest of the show.
Now, the rule is we only do Bronx Sexual Confessions on Wednesday until I got a request from the one and only A Pizzle. Next.